I am Bubbles, and I'm going to present to you today my case analysis entitled Women of Buluan Crackling Weeds in the Sea. But for us to have a better understanding of the case, let us know first who are the women of Buluan, what are their motivations, and what are their current struggles or worries as of the moment. Buluan Women's Association is an organization comprised of housewives in Ipil, Buluan, Zamboanga, Sibugay. Their husbands rely on fishing as a source of income. In 2011, they have formed the Buluan Women's Association in order for women to have an alternative source of income. They grow and harvest seaweeds and make crackers out of it. They are very well supported by the government as they were given the seed money by the Department of Agriculture, they were given the machineries by the Department of Science and Technology, and they were given a building by the local government unit in which they can process their products. As what can be seen in the figure, Zamboanga is one of the top producers of seaweeds in the country. In 2013 as well, 1.5 billion megas of seaweed were accounted, and 14% of it came from Zamboanga Peninsula. Out of the whole production of the Zamboanga Peninsula, 46% of it came from Zamboanga Sibugay area, which means that around 100,000 metric tons are produced by the Zamboanga Sibugay. So this is Mrs. Rosalie Inso. She is the president of Buluan Women's Association, and she has two concerns as of the moment. Number one is that she is not sure if the association is making enough seaweed to continue the cracker production. Number two, she doesn't know if the crackers meet the quality standard so that it can be marketable and sellable to the consumers so that they will continually demand the product. Now let us go to the assumptions. So assumptions are the things that are not stated in the case, but most probably they are happening in the environment. It is important that we establish our assumptions so that we can have a better understanding of the case. We can consider what are we can have better areas of consideration, and we can point out the central issue of the case. So the first thing that we should do is the first assumption that we have in mind is that the association is composed of 20 to 40 women. Basically, living in a rural area, and housing women more than this number is not feasible. Now the second assumption that we have is that since they live in a region where there is an abundant seaweed produce, they are not just the sole manufacturers of seaweed crackers. It is important now that we analyze the internal and the external environment of the organization so that we could have a better areas, so that we know what are the areas that we should consider, and we could point out the central issue of the case. For the internal analysis, I have used the Ishikawa diagram. It concerns very well with the six M's of production. We have the man, the management, the method, the material, the money, and the mother nature. So under the man, no one is assigned for production planning and sales. All are assumed to be production workers. Under the method, no proper harvesting method is indicated to ensure quality and quantity. Under the mother nature, we think that harvesting too much seaweed might affect the underwater ecosystems. Under the management, no organization structure is present or at least mentioned in the case. Second, under the material, it takes 2 months before the seaweed to be harvested, and no proper storage is indicated for the harvested seaweeds. And under the money, money was given by the Department of Agriculture. However, it is not stated where it is allocated for. So to analyze the external environment, we have used the Porter's five forces analysis. It is important. This is an important tool to analyze the external environment of the organization. So under the buyer side, they have no established buyers. That's why their demand varies. As mentioned in the case, their demand, the production is basing on their demand. The suppliers, on the supplier side, since they grow their own seaweeds, there is an adequate supply since they are one of the top producers of seaweeds in the country. Under the competition side, seaweed crackers is not yet established in the market, and people still purchase what they are accustomed to. They would prefer to eat or purchase fish crackers, shrimp crackers over seaweed crackers because people are not still familiar with the seaweed crackers. Under the new entrants, since seaweed is abundant in the area, most likely they are not the only ones manufacturing seaweed crackers. As mentioned earlier, Zamboanga Peninsula is one of the top producers of seaweed in the country, and most likely they are not the Buluan Women's Association are not the only ones creating the or manufacturing the product or the seaweed crackers. Under the substitution, given its novelty in the market, it can be a healthier substitute to the existing crackers. Basing on that case, seaweed crackers has a lot of health benefits. It has fiber, it has minerals, it has vitamins, and it can be a key strategy or a key selling point compared to their competitors, their direct competitors, and also their new entrants as well. So after analyzing the internal and the external environment of Buluan Women's Association, we can point out now what is the central issue of the case. So as we read, seaweed cracker demand is not established in the first place by the Buluan Women's Association. That is why supply cannot be determined if adequate enough for the production. Now, after determining the central issue of the case, let us now propose alternatives in which we could attack the problem. The first thing that we could do is to establish their buyers or distributors so that they can have an established demand. Now, the second thing that we could do is plant more seaweeds to cover the excess demand. And third is that they can change their packaging for it to be more sellable and marketable to the people. Rank our alternatives. Let us take a look first. What is the criteria for us to rank our alternatives as well? The first criteria that we have is that it's problem coverage. If it really captures the essence of the problem. Second, if it has a very big impact to the organization. Third is if it promotes long-term growth. And last is if it is attainable in a short span of time. So as we can see in the ranking of alternatives and as we have identified the alternatives, the first alternative that we have is what is the best alternative compared to the other alternatives. Establishing their demand or establishing their buyers and distributors so that they can have an established demand really captures the essence of the problem because the problem is concerned well with the demand. It has a very big impact to the organization because if they know their demand, then they can plan out their production and they will have a stable production for the whole year. Third is that it promotes long-term growth. Since they it provides since if they have more customers, they have more consumers, then it will give them an area for them to be known. Maybe they could export in 5 years time as well. And we have of course it is very attainable in a short span of time because they have the help of the government agencies, the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Agriculture, and the local government unit. Now that we have identified the best alternative to attack the problem or to attack the central issue, let us now go to the recommendations that we have. So the first thing that we can recommend is to partner up with distributors who can deal out their products in key areas, not just in Zamboanga region but also in Mindanao. They can partner up with Department of Industry who can distribute their products. In this way, women of Buluan can now properly forecast their demand, plan their production that will suit their resources like the supply, their manpower, and their existing machines. The second recommendation that we have is to improve their methods of harvesting their seaweed. Proper farming methods should be observed to ensure the quality of seaweed, and post-harvest care of seaweed should be practiced. These methods should be coordinated with agencies like the Department of Science and Technology and DA to guarantee that these are the proper ways for pre and post-harvest care. Also, since there will be some changes in the methods of harvesting their seaweed, women should be further training should be given to the women. Lastly, they can invest in new packaging and offer variety in terms of flavors and sizes. Also highlight the health benefits. Since they were given the seed capital by the Department of Agriculture, they can use this to purchase stand-up pouches such as stand-up pouches as an alternative to plastic. Using stand-up pouches is more attractive rather than using plastic packaging, and it is more environment friendly and it attracts more consumers in different segments of consumer diversification. Second thing is they can offer flavors and sizes that can be offered to be different from their direct competitors. They can offer spicy flavors. They can offer adobo flavors, any flavors that they think that would that can help them penetrate the cracker market. And of course, they can also give out bigger packaging, and they can also venture out to smaller packaging, whatever works for them. Lastly, health benefits should be highlighted since it is healthier from the known crackers. As mentioned in the case, seaweed crackers is very abundant in fiber, minerals, and vitamins, and it can be a key strategy or a key selling point for them compared to their known competitors such as the fish crackers, the shrimp crackers, etc. Growth is very important for an organization. Uh, helping continuity is assured for them if they follow the recommendations, if they know how their demand is, if they know what their demand is, they can plan out their production, then they will have a better source, they will have